Hey guys, today I'm going to start a new story series, and this is the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So I'll hope you like this. So let's start with the chapter 1. So these are all the chapters. So let's start with chapter 1. So so this is the chapter 1. So you will learn about this lady in this page. So the chapter 1 is a scandal in Bohemia. For Sherlock Holmes, she was always the woman. I rarely heard him refer to Irene Adler by any name other than the woman. I doubt he felt any emotion for her. All emotions, especially love, were nothing but a waste of time for his cold, precise and balanced mind. He was a perfect reasoning and observing machine, and emotions are of no value to machines. Emotions were a fun thing for Sherlock to observe, but he never displayed any. After I got married and moved away, I did not see Sherlock much. I was quite absorbed in the mundane tasks that come with managing your own establishment. Sherlock, on the other hand, who hated society with every bit of his soul, lived at our lodgings in Baker Street, buried deep in his books, oscillating between the extreme energy of his keen nature and drowsiness of drugs. He was, however, still interested in solving crimes which had been abandoned by the official police, and from time to time I would read an account of one of his cases in the newspaper, the case of Trepov murder in Odessa, the tragedy of Atkinson brothers at Trincomalee, in the mission that he had completed for the regening family of Holland, were all reported in the newspapers. One night, as I was returning home, I happened to be passing Baker Street and decided to visit Sherlock. This house will always be associated with my youth these days, of my wooing in the dark. Incidents of the study in the Scarlet were still fresh in my mind. I rang the bell and was welcomed into the house, which I once shared with Sherlock. As I entered, I saw his tall figure walking up and down the room. His head was sunk upon his chest and his hands were clasped behind him. His attitude and manner told their own story, as I knew every mood and habit. I understood that he was hot upon the scent of some case. Sherlock was glad to see me. He waved me to a chair and stood before the fire. He looked at me and said, "Wedlock suits you," he commented. "You have gained 7.5 pounds, I think." 7? I responded. You did not tell me you intended to go into practice again. So this is Wedlock visiting Sherlock's lodging with once he shared. So, yeah. "And how do you know that?" I inquired. I was not surprised that Sherlock knew I was back in practice. He had a habit of observing things and making assumptions. I deducted it. "Your smell of iodoform, and there's a bulge on the right side of your top hat that shows where you keep your stethoscope." I laughed at ease with which Sherlock explained his reasoning and deduction process. It was always so simple, yet every time you baffle me with your observations until you explain it to me. And yet I think my eyes are as good as yours. You see, Watson, you do not observe, By the way, he continued, since you are interested in my little problems and have been good enough to chronicle a few of my cases, I think this might interest you. He handed me a thick pink tinted notepaper. It came by the post. Read it aloud. The note did not contain an address or a date. Tonight, a gentleman who requires your assistance will visit you. Your recent service to the royal families of Europe proves you to be trustworthy and discreet in matters of importance. Be at home and do not worry if your visitor wears a mask. I read. What do you deduce from it? Sherlock asked me. I examined the paper. It was strong and stiff and couldn't have been bought for under half a crown packet. So I hope you liked this much. I will continue the chapter 1 in the next video. Bye.